So just last weekend, Trump got shot at one of his rallies. I believe I forget exactly where it was. I'm pretty sure it was in Pennsylvania. But yeah, he got shot at, or maybe some glass hit. One of the shots hit the teleprompter, and glass kind of sprayed through his ear. I believe it has been confirmed that he got shot through the ear, or at least like he like grazed his ear a bit. But yeah, the shooter missed. One person did die from this, which is very terrible, especially when you consider how the GOP has been responding to Trump getting shot at and him surviving. They were like, oh, he was protected by God. Like, God protected him. He grazed the bullet to protect Trump. And he didn't do it for the firefighter who was trying to protect his family? Like, what are we doing here? It makes him look so bad when you just consider the fact that someone did actually die from this. It's just terrible, but we do have a bunch of stuff to cover on this front. We also will be covering some of the news that happened, all the stuff that kind of happened over the RNC. I'm recording this on Thursday, I believe, no, Wednesday. So it is still currently going on. I'm really only going to cover some of the stuff that happened on the first day. I have not been keeping up on the RNC that much. I'm probably only really gonna talk about it again. I'm recording this on Wednesday. I'll probably cover it like Saturday, because Thursday, tomorrow of this recording, or the day, honestly, it'll probably be the day that this comes out, Trump will be speaking. Probably be watching that on Saturday, see where that goes. But before we get there, we might as well do a bit of a catch up. We'll probably just skim a couple of this because it's already been talked to death at this point. There was a lot of red flags leading up to the shooting that was kind of ignored. Apparently he was actually like stopped beforehand, and like it was a whole thing, but we'll have to see. But yeah, this is the official footage, so yeah, here we go.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
So you hear those shots. Trump feels his ear, so more than likely it grazed him. Secret Service get on top of him. The people in the crowd do not react well. They just kind of sit down quietly when you watch the back. But yeah, there was like 3 shots, and then you'll hear another fire of shots like around here. Yeah. I'm pretty sure those were actual like counter snipers that were shooting back at him, back at the shooter, because he is dead now. Like after he fired those shots, they shot at him and he was killed. And there was like, and we'll talk about it like with this. So he was like on this roof here. Secret Service was right here. These are like the counter snipers. This was Trump's position. They should have been able to see him. Apparently he was also like checking roofs once he got there. Like this wasn't something where he planned accordingly. Like he planned ahead of time, I believe. He was just trying to look when he was there. Like this was all sort of just like, I'm gonna get there and I'm gonna figure out what I can do. But yeah, he went to this roof, which, by the way, it's not like a roof that's far enough that Secret Service would not be able to, like, they should have definitely deemed this as, like, an advantage point that they should have had covered. Like, if they would have had, like, 2 guys up on this roof, this probably wouldn't not happen, because if you look at the area around it, I mean, we don't really see what's, like, over on this side that much. But it doesn't seem like there was really any good coverage. It seems like, at least from this image alone, it seems like the only places of advantage were these roofs right here where the Secret Service were, and and this like building here where the shooter was, and they just couldn't cover that. It's very weird. Like not even police officers or anything. Apparently a police officer did actually spot him, by the way. I think he actually spotted him on the roof and then just went back down. I don't know. There's a lot of stories about this. Take everything I like say about like the shooter and like the build up to it with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of news reporting that's going on at the time. If you want more information about it, I would also look up other sources, because I don't know the full story. There's just a lot coming out. There's a lot. So as stuff develops, you never really know what officially has happened. But it seemed like he just kind of got there, tried to look for a place of advantage, found this roof, which in terms of like, obviously this is before they like got it all set up for the rally, because there were people who were attending the rally who could see him before the shooting, and they tried to like point it out to Secret Service and the police, but like the way the roof was set up, they weren't able to see him from the angle they were at. So it was a little difficult to see where exactly he was, but there was still Secret Service counter snipers right here who apparently didn't see him. Or I believe they did, but they were just like, what is he doing up there? And then they shot, which is why they had a pretty fast response afterwards. Like, it was only a few seconds. Like, here's the first shots. Oh, yeah. Like, Trump goes down here. You hear the pings. And then, like, 2 seconds later, they fire back. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was confirmed they actually did have their sights on him beforehand. But it was, like, a really bad response from the Secret Service. But Trump, you know, being the man that he is, after Secret Service kind of, like, you know, check on him, try to bring him up. You know, there's one thing about the man, he knows how to work his crowd. Even though this was a really stupid move, by the way. As you see, like, he gets up, they're still surrounding him.
You can hear some voices.
They're trying to make sure he's all covered.
Are we ready to go? We are looking at President Trump. This does not look good. I'm going to be honest with you from what we can.
They're trying to make sure he's covered, but then you see here, he's poking out and they don't, like, try to, like, fight back against it. Because, and I'm not saying this as like, oh, he's rallying his base, they need to stop him. This is something that's really stupid because I'm more than certain, unless, you know, maybe they hear it through their earpieces, it doesn't seem, I don't know, I can't really tell if any of them are wearing them. Maybe they were already informed that the shooter was dead, so they thought it was all good to go, but you never know, maybe there is more than one shooter. You need to make sure, but they allow him to, like, poke out his face. But he does get one good thing out of it, which he uses to rally his base.
Move him out that he may have been injured.
And you can't really, you know, you can't really hear him, obviously, but he's telling them to fight. He's like, fight, fight, as he was raising his fist. It was just insane. I was not, like, streaming at the time that this happened. I was at a family event, and I have some pretty conservative family members. And as soon as I saw this while I was browsing through Twitter, I was immediately like, God, I really fucking hope that they do not find out about this. Okay, so there seems to be, from the Wall Street Journal, there's an official video of someone who spotted the shooter. So we'll see.
Here's how the attack unfolded. President Trump was speaking from a stage located here.
Yeah, like, if you kind of look, this is a better kind of view of the area. It seems like this was really the only other place you could get a place of advantage. And they didn't have it covered?
With Secret
It's a little
Service
weird.
snipers in position on the roof of a building behind the stage. The suspected gunman was on the roof of another building less than 450 feet away from where Trump was speaking, with a clear line of sight.
And look what happened to our country.
Yeah, oh my God. You could literally tell they were pointed right at him. Like, if we looked back at, like, this picture. Okay, so Trump's right here. The Secret Service is right here. This is the Secret Service counter sniper. Here's Trump. He's more than likely looking in that direction. He's definitely looking at that guy. What a terrible job.
Moments before the shooting, we can hear nearby spectators.
I mean, maybe he didn't know, but I mean, if you're looking down the scope of a sniper, you could probably tell when someone's holding a gun pointed at the president.
saying they see someone with a gun. At the same time, while Trump speaks, the Secret Service snipers can be seen facing the gunman's direction. We see the agent on the roof pick his head up just before shots ring out at 6:15.
Oh yeah, so the way that, I mean, we don't have the original footage now. I mean, we still have this right here. So, a big reason why Trump more than likely survived is before those shots were fired, he turned his head to face this direction because I think he was looking at a monitor or something. More than likely, if he did not turn his head in that direction, it probably would have went straight through his head. Like him turning his head, it more than likely, if he didn't do that, it probably would have gone straight through it. But since he turned his head, it more than likely grazed through his ear. The shooter has been addressed as Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was 20 years old. And a lot has come out since. We have this CNN article right here. Authorities have identified the gunman involved in the attack against former U.S. President Donald Trump on Saturday as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was killed by Secret Service agents at the scene after the shooting. The FBI named Crooks in a statement near early Sunday morning, identifying him as a resident of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about 35 miles south of Butler, where Trump was holding his rally. Crooks fired on Trump while perched on a nearby building rooftop outside the rally's security perimeter before being killed by the Secret Service. Even if it was outside the perimeter, you feel like you would definitely be like, yeah, we should probably still make sure that that's checked up on, like, or just have like cops around that area just to make sure nobody can get on top of it. But again, apparently a cop did actually spot him and didn't do anything, even though that would be very suspicious. Like, why are you even up here? Oh, like maybe he's getting a better look at the Trump rally. You would still should have better security for that reason. But yeah, there's an ongoing investigation. A lot of classmates have been talked to. Some of his neighbors have too. And as soon as this came out, people started speculating. And this was before he even was named, before people knew anything about him. There were people on the right who were trying to spread around that this was someone on the left. A lot of people on the left actually got worried that this was going to be like an entire shit show if this guy even turned out to be like a little bit Mexican. Because, you know, with Trump's rhetoric, that would be very dangerous. Also, after getting shot, he apparently went straight to golfing. And this was Sunday that this was shared. I mean, this post right here, imagine getting shot at and then deciding to go golfing the next day instead of visiting his wounded followers. Trump don't care about anyone else in the shows. But yeah, we have this article here from the Inquisitor that talks about essentially the gunman in question and kind of follows up on what a few people have said about him in terms, especially there's one quote from one of his classmates, but it actually has been confirmed that Thomas Matthew Crooks was a registered Republican. Now, there is a whole thing about this too, and we will get into it. Apparently, he did donate some money to like a progressive PAC. I mean, I know for sure about that because that actually has been reported on quite a bit. Secret Service spotted Trump rally shooter on roof 20 minutes before gunfire erupted. Oof. We'll cover this NPR article a bit because it seems to have a bit more information on it. From background I've gotten from people that I know that have gone to school with him, he was a typical average kid, more on the quiet side, relatively intelligent. Apparently he was pretty now this kind of differs a bit because he was also seemingly bullied, and there was one guy who was actually interviewed, or I don't know, I guess yeah, interviewed by Fox News that said he was bullied quite often. More than likely that guy was probably one of the bullies, but it's a whole thing. He kind of gets into the whole like, where did he lean publicly in terms of, you know, the political spectrum, because he is a registered Republican. People use the donation part of it to a progressive, like he donated money to a progressive PAC or whatever, but it's one of those like very spammy things that is really just there to try to get money from you. So who really knows the fine details of that, because usually they try to use different ways to get money from people. But for the most part, from what we know, from the Fox interview, the guy said that he is Hispanic and voted for Trump, not Crooks, the guy who was interviewed. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm Hispanic. I voted for Trump," and Crooks just kind of came up to him and was like, "Hey, we might as well watch it. We'll probably watch it after this." He appeared to also have an interest in guns, having joined a shooting club just a short drive from Bethel Park. Robert S. Boutte, the third legal counsel for Trump. I can't get over it. Apparently he was a member of it, which is pretty fucking weird. From the fact that apparently he tried to get into his school's rifle club. Apparently he tried to get into like the rifle club or whatever at his school, but wasn't able to make it. So it's a little weird how he can get into a gun club at that point. But who knows? Maybe he worked on his skills. Obviously he didn't. We can see evidence of that. Crooks is seen wearing a gray t-shirt from Demolition Ranch, a YouTube channel that features videos about firearms demolition and experiments with guns. After the image emerged, Matt Carricker, the channel's creator, posted a video in which he said he was shocked and confused to find this out. We don't vet the people who buy our shirts. Obviously, it would be impossible to, just like Nike doesn't vet to. I mean, it's not like he has a history of violence. Okay, so here's the guy in question. I guess this is the video that they're referencing, and apparently he says that they aren't a political channel. Oh, okay, it was taken down from what this poster says. It was taken down, but yet make politicians afraid again. That's not a great look when someone who tried to assassinate a presidential figure, someone who was, is a former politician at this point, just it god, yeah, definitely maybe not make that type of merch. Ooh, yeah, that's just a bad look. That is terrible. Oh god. Yeah, apparently it was stated that the guy was actually very conservative, or at least seemed to have been. Possible motive seems unclear. Pennsylvania voter registration and Federal Election Commission data show Crooks was a registered Republican but donated $15 through Act Blue, the Democrat Allied Organization 2021. But still, we don't know the fine details about that, and a lot more evidence goes to support that he was probably more right-leaning. Apparently, there was also reports from their neighbors that said that they also had Trump signs on their lawns. But we have this story here, where one of his former classmates said that he definitely was conservative. It makes me wonder why he would carry out an assassination attempt on a conservative candidate. Smith, who took an American history class with Crooks, recalled a mock debate in which their teacher asked students to stand on opposite sides of the classroom to indicate their ideology. The majority of the class were on the liberal side, but Tom, no matter what, always stood his ground on the conservative side. That's still the picture I have of him, just standing alone on one side while the rest of the class was on the other. I mean, even in his class picture here, he is still wearing a American flag, Mount Rushmore type shirt. When he died, he was wearing the shirt of a gun YouTuber. It's not that hard to see, oh, maybe this guy was a Republican. And what were his motives? For all we know, he probably just was a never-Trumper. That's the thing. Yeah, I should probably pull up that Trump shooter story. But that one classmate or whatever. It could just be that he wasn't a fan of Trump. Honestly, maybe he was just a never-Trumper.
Unless there was something that he was passionate about, politics being one of them, he just did not like politicians, especially with the choices that we've had. He did not like our politicians. It was especially during 2016. It was Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, all of them. He showed that he disliked all of them. Did not like any of them. So I brought up the fact that I'm Hispanic and, I'm for Trump. And he said, well, you're Hispanic, so shouldn't you hate Trump? And I was like, no, he's great. I mean, he's a great president. And he called me stupid, or insinuated that I was stupid. He's like, well, that's kind of stupid.
I mean, you are. You are stupid. There is the problem with this. I mean, we already kind of see it here. There is a problem of the story more than likely being fake, honestly, or at least a good chance of being fake. First of all, he says in his defense that Trump is a great president. Now, maybe he's just, paraphrasing, but you think when you're recalling the story, you would just say what you probably did say? Like, he wasn't president at that point. He wasn't even a former president. It's a weird thing to say. I know it's nitpicky, more than likely, but still. Also, this was in 2016. He would have been 12? I don't know how much he would have really cared about that. So, I don't know, maybe he comes from a family that's very political, so he's impacted by it. It could happen, very much. That's still a likely choice. Again, I don't think this story is completely fake. There's just some moments of it that make me question. I mean, going back to the fact that he is done for voting for Trump. But also, this does kind of play into the theory of maybe he was just maybe he just doesn't like Trump. Maybe he's just a Republican who just really hates Trump. I don't know why, because Trump is very much on the Republican side. If you're a Republican, wouldn't you love Trump? Especially if that previous story about, the mock debate was very true. If he had such big conservative values, why wouldn't he love Trump? Again, we don't know exactly why he did it. Again, this guy's story could be full of shit. Who knows? But we'll see. Anyways, we're probably gonna get away from this side of the story and we'll go into the RNC stuff. Trump announced that he has a VP pick, with that being JD Vance, who is the senator of my state, Ohio, which sucks. I think they're trying to go for a way of, with JD being in the race as his VP, they're gonna try to go with a like more moderate position, like maybe make Donald Trump look more moderate. I don't think that's really gonna do for it. I know like that's really gonna affect all that much. Like the Republican Party is essentially Trump's party at this point. Like it's not gonna matter. In terms of like JD himself, we'll get into some of his past, but he tries to make himself seem like a very like, you know, he's fighting for the working man. But really, if you know anything about JD Vance, he is essentially a Silicon Valley guy. He works in the interest of, you know, the tech bros, the big money people for the banks, shit like that. All of his shit is completely just, everything he says about wanting to fight for the working people is all bullshit. It's all fucking terrible. He also kind of like raised, like kind of got raised to fame a bit for his book that eventually got turned into a movie called Hillbilly Elegy, which got completely laughed at when it came out as a movie. We have this way right here. Don't know whether to laugh or cry. Apparently one of the reasons Vance radicalized and went from moderate never-Trumper to insane MAGA Trumper is because the Netflix movie of his book got panned by liberal movie critics. It was the last straw, according to a Fred. Amazing. And that is the thing with JD Vance. He is infamous for saying that Trump was going to be America's Hitler, which he is, but now he has gone completely against that, which honestly makes him a very bad pick for Trump, I feel like, because that's literally where everyone can go to criticize him. Just be like, dude, you're picking the guy who called you Hitler. Especially when a lot of the GOP's like talking points against the left is them being like, oh, everyone's calling him Hitler. Everyone's calling him Hitler. Like, then tell him to stop doing Hitler stuff. Like, tell him to stop advocating for Hitler stuff, dude. But yeah, here's the little post right here. When the Hillbilly Elegy movie came out on Netflix in 2020, it was not just critically panned, but greeted with intense online mockery, and the tenuous cultural diplomacy achieved by the book seemed to unravel for good. The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes was 83%, and the critic score was 25%. According to Vance's best friend from Yale, the wounding commentary was the last straw in his falling out with the elites. Except he still sides with the elites. I mean, he is literally like a, what's his name? Jordan Teal guy. He's essentially, you know, a Silicon Valley guy who just pays a lot of money. The Republican Party for the most part, but JD Vance is literally like his guy. There's also, ever since he got announced as the Republican, you know, vice president candidate, this little, you know, ad for him, this political ad has been going viral.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media
Just an insane start off the bat. But then it gets even worse somehow.
calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Open border is killing Ohioans. With more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country.
Yeah, the southern border of Ohio, guys. We're really getting affected.
This issue is personal. I nearly lost my mother to the poison coming across our border.
That's not what he lost it to, by the way. I'm more than certain that JD Vance's mother was actually a nurse, and that's how she actually got the drugs. Which is also just insane because the way that people like view drugs coming through the border is insane, because it's very wrong. It's like a huge misconception in general of like how drugs come across the border, because they don't come from illegal immigrants. They come through many different ways, mostly through white people just coming through the border who don't get stopped at the border because they're white people. If you don't know who this girl is, this is Amber Rose. We have like this part of it, of her like little speech, If you don't know who Amber Rose is, I don't blame you. I don't know who the fuck she is either. Apparently she has a really big following, but her only real like claim to fame, at least like recently, outside of like this for some reason, is the fact that she like kind of just slept around with a bunch of celebrities. She is the only like really big thing I know her for is she was the woman who came out and said that she stuck something up Kanye West's ass. Like pegged him, ate his ass. I don't know. It's something along the lines of that. But this is the person that the RNC was just like, yeah, we had to let her on. We had to let her on the broadcast.
Hello, my name is Amber Rose. I'm a model and entrepreneur. Thank you.
And before any of you say like, oh, look how open, the Republican Party is that they're letting this. I think she has done porn. I believe she is a corn star. I'm not sure, but like, if you want to, I think she also is pretty famous for participating in a slut walk. It's a whole fucking thing. I don't know. I really do not want to get into this woman at all. This is all stuff that I just kind of heard. For those of you who might be saying to yourself, like, well, look at how open, the Republicans are. Matt Walsh literally shat all over this girl, being like, why the fuck is she up there talking, this whore, this slut? Why is she up there talking? Like, they're not open at all. They're just pretending because they know it makes them look good.
And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump. I know this because for a long time I believed those lies, so I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse, and I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong,
he said that all Mexicans are rapists, and that Mexico is sending their worst, implying that any Mexican who comes across the border is like a rapist. You dipshit. You fucking... Of course he is. That's like one of the most easy things to prove. That just shows how fucking stupid you are if you couldn't prove it.
I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to
I'm sure she did.
Do their research. I watched all the rallies.
This woman, when I look at this woman, I'm just like, yeah, she does her research.
And I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love.
Sure. I mean, they might not care if you're gay because some of them are more than likely closeted, as we have learned. Apparently, the executive of the gay dating app Grindr says the Republican National Convention is basically Grindr's Super Bowl. I mean, it's basically a meme at this point that a lot of conservatives are basically closeted. It's not very true. It's not really true. Some of them just hate gay people. But yeah, there definitely are closeted conservatives that show up to those events. And are very much looking for, sneaky gay sex.
If you're watching this tonight, you know our country is in trouble. Just like me. When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am.
She definitely does not. Like, here's the thing. I don't know much about her. From what I do know a bit, there is no way she actually does any of the shopping herself. I guarantee you. There's no way. It just sounds like, like the whole, oh, I'm trying to relate to you in a way. Like, oh, aren't you just so mad that everything's so expensive now? It's just dumb bullshit. We'll get to this little section right here. Because while it doesn't really have to deal with her, it has to deal with like a CNN reporter who obviously does not know their shit.
I mean, it's fascinating to have her as a speaker there. I think she has some 20-odd million Instagram followers.
23 million Instagram followers. So I just have to say, this stagecraft, this sequencing of this whole moment tonight, this is what Donald Trump does best. He's the producer-in-chief, him walking out, Lee Greenwood playing, and then first you're hearing from an everyday American talking, but then a social media influencer with 23 million followers who young people are looking at, and young voters...
No, young people are not looking at Amber Rose. No, they are not. You know who young people are looking at, young voters are looking at? Kai Cenat. More than likely, they're just watching his stream, wondering what he's about to do next or something. They're not fucking following Amber Rose. Amber Rose is not a big influencer for a younger generation. The last time, really, she blew up in any retrospect was with the Kanye stuff when she outed Kanye. And I believe that was actually back in 2016? Like, this is just someone who's just very desperate for, like, relevancy. Apparently, she's actually kind of, like, using this, like, her being on the Republican side as a way to, like, sell cryptocurrency, or she was trying to do a crypto scam not that long ago. But it's a whole fucking thing. The president of the Teamsters, this guy right here, Sean O'Brien, appeared on stage, which is just fucking disgusting. And if you don't know what the Teamsters are, basically, it's a big union. So you'll probably be wondering to yourself, if you know anything about, Republicans and their stance on unions, why the fuck a Teamsters president would be at the RNC? Which apparently he might also, there's a likely chance he could be nominating President Trump, like endorse President Trump, like endorse Trump as president, be like, oh, this is, the Teamsters presidential pick, despite the fact that there are a lot of Teamsters on the left. It's just, this is insane. It's an insanely bad decision for him. And once you hear him speak, it's just all downhill from there.
Greetings, delegates and guests. I'm Sean O'Brien, General President of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters.
Let's slow this down so you can really get his stupid accent there.
I'd like to give my peeps from the greatest state in the nation, Massachusetts, some props. What's up?
Yeah, he has a Massachusetts.
First, I want to thank the hard-working Teamsters and union members.
I want to thank the hard-working Teamsters
Here in Milwaukee who play vital roles in the building and operations of this convention. I also want to thank President Donald Trump for opening the RNC's doors to the Teamsters Union and inviting me to speak before you tonight. I travel all across this country and meet with my members every week. You know what I see? An American worker being taken for granted. Workers being sold out to big banks, big tech, corporates, and the elite.
I wonder who J.D. Vance works for. It goes back to the point I made. He tries to make... This is so dumb. Because these people do not care about the regular working class people. They like the big banks. They like the CEOs. Trump's tax cuts helped CEOs more than it did anybody else. It's so fucking stupid that this guy, who is supposed to be all pro-union, is siding with a political party that does not give a shit about him. And by the way, Democrats are not that much better when it comes to being pro-union as Republicans are either. But they definitely are better. And despite... a lot of problems with Biden, he is pretty pro-labor. Again, he has done what, very few presidents have ever done in their lifetime. He actually joined a strike. He was with the UAW strike where, he was with them during their strike. That is such a big, that should be seen as such a big thing for him. That should be seen as such a big deal that someone, a president, actually went out there and did that, which is something that Trump would never do. He tried to do that, but it ended up being insanely dumb. Apparently, it was a very scabby as well, which is just should show you. I mean, even the UAW president spoke at the time, being like, yeah, this Trump thing is a sham, fuck him, shit like that. That alone should, again, show you which president probably gives more of a shit about unions. Even if Biden isn't great with it, he definitely cares more.
And I'm not the only one who sees this. Everyday families see it. The American people aren't stupid. They know the system is broken. We all know how Washington is run. Working people have no chance of winning this fight.
Notice how nobody applauded there? Yeah, you're speaking to the people who don't want your... It's so fucking stupid. Literally, if you just took the speech and then went to the DNC with it, it would probably work a lot better, because at least you're speaking to some people out there who actually give a shit. Nobody here gives that much of a shit. It's just the worst fucking Republicans who don't want to see almost any singular dime go to the working class people and just help the people up top. It's so fucking dumb to do this at the RNC, and we haven't even reached the worst point of this.
That's why I'm here today. because I refuse to keep doing the same things my predecessors did.
He has done exactly what all of his predecessors have done. Now, this is the first time, I believe, a Teamsters president has showed up to the RNC. But as we will get into this, he lists that former presidents, like Teamsters, have formally endorsed Republican presidents as, their picks. But guess what? It doesn't look that great. It's so fucking dumb. It was like, I love how he's like, oh, this is not the Teamsters, this is a completely different Teamsters from the one you knew before. But we're also going to do the exact same things that the Teamsters have formerly done, which was a terrible outcome for them. Like, this is a different Teamsters, so we're doing the same shit we did before.
Today, the Teamsters are here to say we are not beholden to anyone or any party.
And that's why we're at the RNC. What? You're so fucking dumb. So fucking stupid.
We will create an agenda and work with a bipartisan coalition.
This would be like if you are a part of a group that wants to ban assault weapons in the USA, to be like, there's so many mass shootings in our current day and age, we need to have stricter gun laws. And then you go and you speak at the RNC. No, not the RNC, the NRA. Then you go to speak at the NRA, and you're just like, if there's one group of people who I know supports the fact that we need to ban assault weapons in the USA, it's the NRA. God, too many acronyms. That's the problem. It's making
ready to
it's
accomplish
me.
Something real for the American worker.
For the American worker.
And I don't care about getting criticized. It's an honor to be the first Teamster.
Obviously you don't, because you're making the stupid decision.
History to address the Republican National Convention.
Why do you think that is, you dumb bald fuck?
Several months ago, I asked the RNC and the DNC for the opportunity to speak. To be frank, when President Trump invited me to speak at this convention, there was political unrest on the left and on the right. Hard to believe. Anti-union groups demanded the president rescind his invitation. The left called me a traitor.
I love how he said, like, oh, from the left and the right, there's been political unrest. And then he said, oh, the left called me a traitor. And the anti-union groups, he didn't even need to say they were on the right, because of course they are. It's so fucking dumb to do this. It's so fucking stupid. Yeah, of course people on the left are going to call you a traitor. You are literally siding with the fucking enemy when you are the president of the Teamsters. Like, the only way this speech could go well at this point is if he literally just said, psych. That's it. If he just psych, flipped everyone off and left. But no, he fucking just eats. Oh, it's just so fucking dumb. He's just making him. It's literally, he is just making himself look like an ass. Because the people there, the people in that audience, know that they don't give a fuck about unions. They don't. Why would they? It works against their best interests. They don't give a fuck. But this guy thinks that they do, and he's dumb for thinking that.
And this is precisely why it's so important for me to be here today.
I mean, I don't know if we really need to watch any more of this. It's so fucking stupid.
Think about this. The Teamsters are doing something correct. If the extremes in both parties think I shouldn't be on this stage.
When they talk about extremes on both parties, they mean you. Republicans don't like unions. They think it's fucking communism or some bullshit. They think you're an extreme. They don't fucking like unions. What are you talking about? Oh, something that gives workers advantages, allows them to have some control over their workplace? That sounds communist to me, brother. They don't fucking... Of course there are conservatives a part of the Teamsters. But still, that doesn't change the fact that They don't fucking like you. They do see you as an extreme. What the fuck are you talking about? You literally had to be a dumb Ninja Turtle looking dumbass to fucking... I tried to come up with a better phrase. It just didn't work. But it's just so dumb to do this. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about this. It's been a long week. Like, it started Saturday with Trump getting shot at. And we're only at Wednesday. And, you know, we still have that Trump speech going on at the RNC. Apparently, he had to rewrite it to make it more unifying. Because, and I'll probably get to that, that little part of it if I cover the Biden interviews. But at this rate, I'll probably cover them at the same day I cover the Trump speech anyways. Apparently, the Democrats are trying to call for unity, and it seems like Trump is trying to change up his RNC speech to make it more unifying. Makes you wonder what it was beforehand, but still. We'll just have to see. But yeah, this is just a shit show.